Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Council, please be upstanding for the Worshipful, the Mayor of Gedling.
Would you please remain standing while we say 2 minutes silence for Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth? Thank you. Before we get settled for the meeting, can I also ask you to stand again for our past Mayor, Councillor Chris Collins, who died last week and we buried last week. So please can you give Chris our respect? Thank you. Can I ask Councillor Sandra Barnes to come and read? My vicar's not arrived tonight, so Sandra's going to say the prayers. Can you just listen to Sandra, please?
Good evening, everybody. This is the prayer that the vicar, well, our vicar at St Paul's, says she'd like me to read. And first of all, she wants me to say, Archbishop Justin Welby said at our late Queen's funeral on Monday that people of loving service are rare in any walk of life. Leaders of loving service are still rarer. But in all cases, those who serve will be loved and remembered when those who cling to power and privileges are long forgotten. Leaders inspired and motivated by loving service are what our world and our community needs. And so this evening, still reeling from our loss, but hopeful for the future, we're invited to take St. Francis of Assisi's prayer to heart and make it our very own. May we be instruments of God's peace. Where there is hate, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. And where there is darkness, light. Where there's despair, hope. Where there is sadness, joy. May we not so much seek as to be comforted as to comfort, to be served as to serve, and to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in forgiving that we are forgiven, and it is in dying that we are born to life. Amen. Thank you.
Just for absence, please. Councillor Ellis, please. Rachel Ellis, sorry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Apologies from Councillor Wilkinson. Thank you.
Councillor Smith, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Apologies from Councillor Martin Smith.
Councillor Bosworth. Thank you. Councillor Elwood.
Apologies from Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. Mayor's announcements. Well, it's been a very, very sad 2 weeks really now, and I think the general public and people in Gedling Borough have been extremely fortunate in doing what they've done. They've honoured the Queen. Members of this council showed their respects at the various functions we've been to, and it's been very heartwarming. Today we've been to Papawick Village, beg your pardon. We've been to Ravenshead, to the U3A, and they've been absolutely fantastic today. So everybody where we've been this weekend have been absolutely fantastic in supporting what's gone off in the world. And we as a council, I think, showed our duty. We had a seminar outside the council offices last week, which was well attended and well supported. And really, it has been quite warming for what the people have said in respect of the Queen. So we thank everybody in the borough for making it a sort of not a happy weekend, but a respectful weekend. So I think we can all be proud on what Gedling Borough has done to honour the Queen. Thank you very much. To approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of July. Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll move those.
Any other comment, please? Seconded, please. Michael.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. We'll have a formal opportunity to pay respects to Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II later on the agenda item, but I did just want to take this opportunity with your forbearance to pay my respects to former councillor and former mayor Patricia Collins and to extend my condolences to David. I didn't have the opportunity and privilege of serving alongside Trish while she was a councillor on the council, but I did have the good fortune and privilege of getting to know David and Trish very, very well during my time as parliamentary candidate in Newark constituency, in which they resided during my time, and they were incredibly welcoming to me. They became very close friends of not just myself, but of my parents as well, and continued to give advice. I always found them to be very engaging people, very friendly people. I know that Trish was very, very passionate about the causes that she championed while she was a councillor here. So to David and to the rest of the family, my heartfelt condolences and respects to them. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any other comments, please? Thank you very much. All those in favour, please show. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Once again, I've been received thanks. Thanks for you that I've carried. Oh, I'm sorry, I've gone 5. Is there any declarations of interest, please? No? Thank you. None received. Thank you. Item 6, petitions under Proceedings Rule 7.8. Mike.
None received, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Question 7. Any public order, Presidential Rule 7.7.
None received, Mr Mayor.
Item 8, questions asked by members under Presidential Rule 7.9. We have a question from Councillor Greensmith. Councillor Greensmith, please.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. In the light of this meeting, I am very grateful for the Council to allow me to ask this question. Having had their request for community infrastructure levy money turned down for the Davidson development at the top of Catfoot Lane, could the portfolio holder for sustainable growth and economic please help me to best guide my residents by the way of funding opportunities they qualify to investigate a park renovation for the people of Lamley?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the question, Councillor Greensmith. Is that okay? I'm going to start with a point of correction and clarification for the benefit of Council and any members of the public who may be watching. To be clear, as Councillor Greensmith well knows, their request for SIL was not turned down, as she put it. Her ward is ineligible for SIL funds. The development she mentions has not taken place within her ward, and therefore no SIL payment is due. Our officers correctly interpreted the SIL regulations as laid down by this Conservative government and were absolutely right to reject the application. Mr Mayor, it's disappointing, is it not, that despite the number of years that Councillor Greensmith has been a councillor, she is apparently unaware of alternative funding opportunities, or indeed where to find that information. However, I'm very happy to help, and I offer the following funding opportunities. I can't comment, however, on whether any application would qualify. That would be a matter for the funding body, as those decisions are outside the Council's responsibility. So the first opportunity, Councillor Greensmith, is the Nottinghamshire County Council Local Communities Fund. This will require 50% match funding. I believe that Lamley is within the county division of Councillor Greensmith's fellow councillor, Boyd Elliott. And I'm sure that on one of his regular visits to her ward, he would be able to advise her on the appropriateness of any application. Secondly, the FCC Community Fund, formerly known as WREN. The Council have successfully applied for this funding on various occasions for a number of playground refurbishments. A 10.75 contribution is required for the amount that is applied for. So, for example, if the parish council applied for the maximum amount of £100,000, they would need to find £10,750 for this contributory fund. Finally, Mr Mayor, the Severn Trent Community Fund. Applications to this fund require 10% match funding, and Councillor Greensmith will also be aware that the parish council could consider raising their precept to generate additional revenue for any project they felt was important. So to conclude, Mr Mayor, should Councillor Greensmith have any other knowledge gaps, I'm always happy to help. Or she can always find information from our excellent officers, as they're a very useful source of information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any Greensmith? Gabby Mucklison, Councillor Greensmith. Thank you. No debate. No debate. Items 9, questions by members of the Council and any other business on committees on procedure 710. There are 11 minutes on the agenda. Anything on the agenda, please? Any member would like to ask questions on any comments about any minutes that would please indicate that they can remind me what the number is, please. What pages, please? Page numbers are you speaking about, please? First of all, minute A to F. Any comments, please, or questions? Minute J to K. Any questions and comment? Thank you. We move on to the next item. Item 10. Any comments under Procedure Rule 711?
None received, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Move to the next item. Item 11. Motions under Order Producer 712. 1 minute has been received at the front of the agenda pack. Councillor Payne.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. As you said, Mr Mayor, the last few days for our country and for the Commonwealth have been incredibly sad, but perhaps sadder even for the family of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. At many moments in our nation's history, Queen Elizabeth II brought our country together, and I think it's wholly appropriate tonight that cross-party this council comes together to lay a motion in respect to Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth. On behalf of the Borough of Gedling, this council wishes to come together to express and record its deep sadness at the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and extend its heartfelt sympathy to His Majesty King Charles III and other members of the royal family. This council recognises Her Majesty's enduring commitment to public service and duty and wishes to express its gratitude for her lifelong devotion to the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth and its people. This week, Mr Mayor, we laid rest to our nation's greatest monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, Elizabeth the Faithful. Her late Majesty's selfless dedication to our country and to the Commonwealth defined her life and the best way of our life. From her service as Princess Elizabeth during World War II to the final week of her life, when as monarch she performed her constitutional duties, even when gravely ill, she has been our constant, our guide, our faithful Queen. Her lifelong service and duty to our country, the Commonwealth, and the world spanned generations. By the time this council was created in 1974, Queen Elizabeth II had already been our sovereign for over 22 years. For many of us, me included, she had been the only monarch we had ever known. For the 70 glorious years of her reign, our Queen was at the heart of our nation's life. But as well as a Queen, she was a mother, a wife, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. Roles she carried out with the same sense of vocation, as well as human kindness, as the role of Queen. As was said last week, she did not simply reign over us, she lived alongside us. She shared in our hopes and our fears, our joy and our pain, our good times and our bad. Our Queen played a crucial role as the thread between the history we cherish and the present we own. Queen Elizabeth II referred to herself as our servant monarch because she understood the simple truth that the country she became to symbolise is bigger than any one individual or one institution. She is mourned and missed, not because of her constitutional title, but because of her considered compassion. Not because she was our hereditary monarch, but because she too was a fellow human being with a family and feelings. Not because of her ideology, but because of her steadfast impartiality. When the challenges of COVID strained our very way of life, she reminded us all, we will be with our families again. We will be with our friends again. We will meet again. A message of hope, Mr Mayor, with all the more resonance because of its messenger. In a world that seems so uncertain, so unpredictable, so fragile, she was a point of continuity, of constancy. In a country where our birthright and our background still determines far too much of our opportunity, the Queen used her privileged platform to remind us that everyone is our neighbour, no matter what race, creed or colour. that the success of our nation is built on all of our history, all of our endeavours, and all of our efforts. For her service, for her devotion, for her duty, and for her smile that lit up 1,000 words, we say thank you. May the Lord keep you safe. Her late Majesty perhaps put it best herself when addressing the Commonwealth Heads of State in 2011 and evoking an ancient Aboriginal proverb. We are all visitors to this time, to this place. We are just passing through. Our purpose here is to observe, to learn, to grow, to love, and then we return home. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Councillor Adams, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It gives me a great pleasure to second this motion tonight and again echo the comments of Councillor Payne around our cross-party working. Today we're taking the time to remember the incredible life of Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of our United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms from the 6th of February 1952 until her death on the 8th of September 2022. She was a Queen Regnant of 32 sovereign states during her lifetime and 15 at the time of her death. The only sovereign I've ever known, and I'm sure that's the same for almost everybody else in this room. I was at my son's football training when I heard the news. The moment had arrived. The moment came to open the sealed envelope I had in my house, instructions given to me after selection as leader. I had not told anyone I had this document in my possession. I'm not sure I wanted to believe it, and I'm not sure I want to believe I had it myself. It was a document I never wanted to read or ever have to use. Well known now, the document was for Operation London Bridge, and London Bridge was down. The plan being for the hours, days and weeks after the Queen's death, a plan meticulously put together with the Queen in life to help a nation lay her to rest. My first memory of the Queen was in 1984. We had heard she would be visiting, and so in the days leading up to it at my infant school, we'd be making Union Jack flags out of bits of paper and straws, and we all lined up and walked down Arnavale Road from Woodthorpe Infant School, chattering with excitement. We lined up along the side of Vale Road in Sherwood until a beautiful Rolls Royce drove by. I saw her waving as she went. And I've seen her a number of other times since, including observing her passion for horse racing at Ascot. Knowing the Queen was wherever you were sent waves of excitement all around. And so our Elizabeth the Great, that was cared for and loved by many nations across our incredible planet. I've seen statements from nations as far as Australia, New Zealand, or Canada, Nepal, South Africa, but also where more closer neighbours like France, who lit up the Eiffel Tower to remember our Queen. And also the United States that instructed all of their government buildings and institutions, military installations across the world, to fly their flag at half-mast in remembrance. Here at home, a reflection shown of this was the love from our country of some 32.5 million people, or 49% of the UK population that actually watched the funeral on different screens, many of which were actually in London observing the funeral as it happened. The worldwide figure, estimated but not yet verified, could top 5 billion, which is around about 66% of the worldwide population. But however that final figure turns out, it will no doubt be one of the most watched moments in history. A day of national pride in remembrance of a wonderful person whose example sets the bar for all who serve, and what a day it was. Now, personally, the Queen was a constant reminder of my grandma, who was born in the same year as Queen Elizabeth II, and who, whenever the Queen was on TV, would without fail say to me, "We were born in the same year, you know," although I'm younger. And my grandma was incredibly proud of this fact, being born in October and the Queen in the April. And as a result of that, the Queen has served her as a reminder of my now since past grandma ever since. I know I'm not the only one to feel this, and I'm sure many of us felt the deep sense of loss, a family loss. A loss I didn't know I would feel, and like when I've lost people in my life in the past, the wave of grief would keep coming and subsequent tears would catch me out. It also feels so much more, another loss of a member of that incredible generation, a unique generation that had literally seen it all. And in the case of my grandma, like our Queen, an example of that generation's most genetic ability and understanding of duty. My grand's case, looking after a family and a poorly husband. I do wonder, is there any more of an important duty than looking after your family? It occurred to me while writing this, maybe in that commitment to service was how our Queen viewed this, an extended member of her family. I know as I do, many of us feel she was an extended part of ours, and maybe that's how she did it so well. Our Queen saw the people of our world like that, with all their faults, but cared for them anyway. It's an honour for me personally, once again, to stand here before you all as leader of my group at Gedling Council on this most historical time. I feel such pride in the way you all responded on social media with respectful comments, and in discussions I've had with my group together, and where you've put your flags at half-mast, and whether that's been at home or whether it's been at a parish council you represent, or how you've supported your parish councils and residents and how to correctly follow London Bridge. Visiting of proclamations, signing of books of condolence, or one who was messaging me from holiday asking me, what can I do? Should I come home? The work has gone in from our council officers and the mayor and others is very much appreciated, and I'd like to put on record my group's thanks to all of you for the work you've done. I don't believe there is any better way to show your respect for our Queen, better than the way you have acted. We best reflect our Queen in the way that we respond to such times. The way we act during times like these shows the true connection with our Queen, and in my opinion shows us in her image of duty and respect as she portrayed herself throughout the years of her reign. She genuinely makes me want to be a better person. I went down to London on Wednesday last week with Sam and some friends from our village to pay my respects to the Queen, and in fact we walked around Green Park and looked at all the incredible flowers and tributes. The thing that continued to strike me was how she connected with all generations. Pictures of a certain Peruvian bear, and whether it be jumping out of a plane at the 2012 Olympics with James Bond, or sitting down with our Paddington and eating marmalade sandwiches, which my kids absolutely loved, by the way. I mean, who knew there was one in her handbag after all this time? She had an ability to connect with all of us on our own level, and that is not the sign. If that is not the sign of a true leader, I don't know what is. So for our wonderful Queen of our nation, friends of the world, as you take your final glorious journey, I wanted to say we truly loved you, and thank you, ma'am. God save the King.
Any other member would like to speak, please? Councillor Elwood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I cannot claim to have personally met Her Majesty the Queen, and so my recollections of our late Queen are gathered from the accounts of people who did meet her, as well as her communications made direct to the nation and Commonwealth. Much has already been said tonight about the Queen, and so you will have to forgive me if what I say sounds similar to what has already been said. It's clear that above all else, the Queen's priority in all things was to do her duty to the nation, and in that she never faltered. Her personal Christian faith sustained her in performing that duty right up to the end of her life. From all the recollections that have been recounted since the Queen's sad death, the following recurring themes stand out. First, whoever the Queen met, whether it be a member of the public or a dignitary, she clearly showed that that person mattered, and she would show a personal interest in the concerns of that individual. Second, when meeting people, although she took her role as a sovereign seriously, she was not hung up on protocol and would not take offence where an individual with good intentions didn't quite abide by the correct protocol. Thirdly, when things didn't go to plan, the Queen was able to diffuse the situation with her well-known sense of humour. Over the years, the Queen communicated to her people on many occasions. Some speeches were not intended to be memorable, whilst others we recall with more clarity. Her speech as Princess Elizabeth, given in South Africa before she became Queen, stands out as her personal manifesto of commitment to the nation and Commonwealth. Years later, her speech at the time of the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, helped reunite the nation at a time when the monarchy was at a low ebb. More recently, we recall her "We'll Meet Again" speech given during the first COVID lockdown, a speech which gave us all hope at a time when hope was in short supply. Finally, we recall her last Christmas Day message to the Commonwealth, when she referenced to her beloved husband, Prince Philip, but at the same time looked to the future with quiet optimism. God bless your Majesty. Your service to your country and your people will be remembered for a very long time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other speaker? Councillor Bosworth, please.
I'd really like to share a very personal experience with you all about the Queen. I was 7 at the time of the coronation, and we had a barn next to our house, and the barn was cleared out. We had trestle tables, and we had sandwiches, and we had a television. And I think it was about 9 inches, and there was loads of us in that barn. And that was the first time I ever saw television. Then there was that song, "In a golden coach, there's a heart of gold, riding through London town, with the sweetest queen the world's ever seen, wearing a golden crown." And one of the things that, as a child at school in Nottinghamshire, I was given, which I still have, is a New Testament, and I'd like to read to you what it says in there. It's Nottinghamshire County Council Education Committee. The Nottinghamshire County Council are presenting this copy of the New Testament to the boys and girls of the county because they believe it is the most suitable gift they could offer on the occasion of the crowning of Her Most Glorious Majesty, Queen Elizabeth. And it was to the boys and girls of Nottinghamshire. Not only did we get a New Testament, but we also, some of you might have had the same, we had a coronation mug and a shilling. Neither of those remain. It was such a memorable day. It did rain on that day, but the fact seeing television, and was then able to see the Queen again with my own children twice when she came through Nottinghamshire, and there she was, smiling, waving, just the same as she was in that golden coach. It really was a memory to share. I echo the thoughts what everyone else has said about what a monarch she's been and how her religion has carried her through. And I think that everybody has honoured her in a great way. And I watched the television, not a 9-inch black and white television, a great big colour television all day. And I thought we did her proud. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to make a comment? Councillor Clark.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll go along with the others to support the proposer and the seconder about Her Majesty. She will no doubt be missed. I was hoping she would have gone for Prime Minister at some point and get some sanity there, because having been like Pat, I've still got my cup and that from the coronation, and I can remember eating dripping sandwiches. And for those who don't know what dripping sandwiches is, it's what the poor eat. And we got loads of them, and cups of water and big things out in the streets. I don't think we could do that now in a lot of cases, street parties, etc. But great memories there. But it does seem, I was privileged to be in St Paul's 3-4 months ago, and it seemed quite a shock. I thought she'd go on forever when we were there at the Jubilee celebrations and that service, which was quite touching then. So she's left a big void in all sorts of people's lives, which we saw on Monday, that the heritage of this country is superb. You saw it there, whether you like soldiers, sailors, or anybody else. The precision, the way that we put, that was like a finely tuned clock. It worked. and the proud men and women of this country did a proud right until their final resting place. I'd also like to place on my record and hopefully we record it, the thanks of Emma and the team, because she kept the flags going up. Is it down? And I know I'm a pain in the backside for flags, but it was getting quite confusing because there are certain protocols, and I know that as Mike Adams said, the Operation London Bridge was well rehearsed, but it was also well carried out, both locally, nationally, and international. So she will be sadly missed, and like everybody else, God bless the King. Let's hope he comes up, particularly with some of his green issues, and that some people listen. It's not all about the politics of it. It's about making things better for the people we represent. But God bless her.
Did you hear me? Anybody else? Any comments? Michael, to close then, please.
Nothing further to add, Mr. Mayor.
It's carried. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending this meeting. This is the final item. I have no urgent items, so we'll close the meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance, and I call the meeting closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the council, please be upstanding for the worshipful the Mayor of Gedling.